don't just run after being a unicorn in valuation and then you're perpetually in losses and your cash flow is all messed up. So many of the startups I work with, they don't get their books audited. They don't know anything. They don't close their accounts. And then the higher chances of things catching you by surprise. And as a founder, you should always be on top of your numbers. And I think it's all this Bollywood, Hollywood, these stories we read, that the quintessential culture in tycoon has to be ruthless, crazy competitive and cutthroat, and backstabbing if you want to become a top company and if you want to achieve results. And I have enough examples and enough case studies, India and globally, of people who are very driven and have got enormous success without being arrogant and egoistical.
In today's episode, we had one more shark from Shark Tank India, Namita Thapar. We spoke a lot of things about leadership, about new age entrepreneurs, about family business, about how to scale your business globally around the world, about how to get into industries जहाँ पे advertising भी allowed नहीं है, and how do you build a brand in order to scale your business significantly. Make sure you watch this episode till the end because this is like a quick, concise episode where we have touched so many different topics and 20 different types of things which she has also covered in her new book. We've just touched the surface of it. You'll love it if you love quick, sweet, nice episodes with information-packed knowledge about business and brand building. Finally, my book is here. I got the physical copy and I'm sure जिन लोगों ने सबने ऑर्डर कर दिए, प्री ऑर्डर करी हुई है, उन सब के पास भी बहुत जल्दी ये बुक पहुंचने वाली है. और अगर आप लोगों ने ऑर्डर नहीं करी है, so make sure that you order right now. And I just want to share this one thing that I'm really grateful that because of your love, we got to #1 Amazon bestseller in the country. हमने book #1 बना दी. तुम सब लोगों की वजह से ये #1 बनी. So thank you so much. I really, really admire that you have taken the initiative to order it and spread so much love that I could have never imagined of. वैसे like one quick compliment, I think I've told this about to a lot of my friends, is I love your colors on Shark Tank. Like you choose your colors, like it's, I don't know how, maybe you're like thinking from media perspective, ki kya, you just know ki kaun se colors pop out.
If you see even my Insta page, which I started I think 2 years before Shark Tank, I always like wearing bright pantsuits, bright colors. So I think it was way before Shark Tank. They just make me happy. So
okay, tell me quickly. मेरे को एक question था बहुत, because I love people who bounce off careers. Okay, they think of, and not careers, it's about mindset. So when you did CA, so you were in a mindset of key profession. Then you went to MBA Duke. That was a mindset of consulting ज़्यादा होता है background थोड़ा, right? So you had that big corporates, big jobs, all of that. That was a mindset which you're trained for 2 years. Then you moved to Bay Area. That's like hardcore Silicon Valley, startup. And then you came back to India, did your family business, family ground value leadership and built India. कौन सा mindset you love the most?
So Raj, I'm just wired a certain way. I have to keep doing different things. I have to keep trying new things.
Okay.
Because I believe in this concept of lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And I believe that if you keep doing the same thing for too long, the growth at some point stops. And Aman's favorite word, kick. मुझे kick नहीं मिली. So I get my kick out of growth, out of learning.
Okay.
And so it was very important for me to keep doing different things. So while you stopped at MCure, even within MCure, whether it's my YouTube channel, Uncondition Yourself, or writing a book, or doing Shark Tank, or starting my academy, I have to be doing different things.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not doing different things, my biggest fear in life is that I will stop growing and I will stagnate. And I live for that intellectual stimulation.
So I get that, and this is
I don't
great
think so.
question.
The answer to your question is I don't think there's anything I can say, oh, this is my favorite.
Okay.
I'm one of those who enjoys the journey.
But here's a question beyond that, okay? Because this, what you said, is like every young person today.
Yeah.
They have like 10,000 interests. They want to do everything and they feel, इसी से growth आएगा, मुझे ये भी सीखना है, मुझे ये भी सीखना है, मुझे ये भी सीखना है, right? How do you choose what to do at one time?
That's a very good question because one of the things I see in the youngsters these days is yes, you want to try different things, but you shouldn't spread yourself too thin.
Okay.
If you're all over the place, then you don't get depth. And if you have a mindset of whatever I pick, I want to be outstanding, I want to be excellent, then for excellence, depth is important. Focus and depth is important. And that focus and depth doesn't come if at any given point you're doing 200 things.
Yeah.
So it's a very tricky balance, right? Because you want to be doing multiple things so that you're stimulated, you're growing. But at the same time, it's very important how you balance those things such that at any given time, if you do that one thing, it gets 100% focus, 100% depth. You make sure you're outstanding at it, and then you move on to the next thing.
True.
So now if I'm with Raj, I've zoned out everything else in my life, and I want to make sure that that 1 hour, it's all about this show, and I give it my 200%.
Fair. So it's
So
like
that focus is important. And, one of the mantras I follow in my life is less is more.
now let's get to battle wala point and one of your favorite topics, brand building. Okay. So I pick up a battle. So every time I think of brand building is an expense, which is an investment which you do.
Yeah.
All right. तो हमेशा एक battle होता है starting में कि should we invest on building a brand or should we just focus on right now performance and sales? कैसे भी करके बस सेल लेके आओ, जितना है X नंबर पे कमाया, X नंबर पे खरीदा, Y नंबर पे बेचा, कर लो. इसका जो बीच का है वो इन्वेस्ट मत करो ब्रांड बिल्डिंग में. So how do you, what would you choose? That's a big
So
battle
I'll
for
tell you about
everyone.
MCure, right? Because my life and my experience with brand building is at MCure. So I started my career as the chief financial officer.
Yeah.
And I worked a lot on systems, automation, EBITDA, processes, getting a new leadership in place. And then wo keeda aaya ki P&L sambhalna hai. So
Yeah.
I started managing the India business or leading the India business only 5 years back.
Okay.
So my experience in brand building is about 5 years old.
Okay.
When I joined the India business, the first thing I realized is, over enthusiasm. And that's the one feedback given at Shark Tank as well. Too many SKUs. People just want to launch because then they have something new to speak about in the doctor's chamber. There's buzz, there are new t-shirts and ties that come with it. There's just, it just gets people excited.
Yeah.
But what happened as a result is, again, when you don't follow the philosophy of less is more, you don't focus. And so our big brands started suffering.
Okay.
So, for example, MCure is number 1 in women's health. So our number 1 specialty that we work with are gynecologists, right?
Okay.
Because for women's
Yeah.
health. And there were some brands, especially in anemia, dydrogesterone, a lot of women-specific brands where we hadn't even scratched the surface. If you really thought about the TAM, if you really thought about how big the awareness and diagnosis problem is in the country, we had probably capitalized only 10% of the market. So then the question is, do I just keep launching new brands that will become like at most 5 crores a year? Or do I focus on this 50 crore brand that is solving a real problem that needs a lot of market shaping, category creation, awareness,
Yeah.
and then make that 50 crores 100 crores?
Yep.
Right? And a lot of times, because this is old news and they've been selling it for a while, the field force that I manage, about 3,000 people, are more interested in gimmicks,
Yeah.
the new launch, even if it's only 5 crores
Yeah.
a year, versus the old is gold, and making that big.
Yeah.
So that was the first brand building philosophy. The second one is, how do you deal with collaboration and competition? Right? So MCure has collaborated beautifully with multinationals because multinationals want to come to India, but they don't have the kind of field forces that an Indian company would.
Yeah.
So we have reach and penetration. They have the patent and the science. So we beautifully collaborated with multinationals to bring a lot of exclusive products to India at very affordable prices.
Got it.
And then competition. You always attack where your competition is weak.
Yeah.
So for example, again, coming back to women's health, everyone was focused on big hospitals or was focused on clinics, private practice. And there was this whole area of nursing homes, which
Yeah.
is these choti, that's where most women deliver.
Yep.
That
Because
was,
it's like nearest to your house.
that was not being focused and visited, and there were no strategic interventions there. So where your competition is weak, you attack there, right? So I think I'm just giving you examples.
Yep.
Then even things like shift the market. What is your differentiator? So for example, we realized through market surveys that pregnant women, need a higher dosage of a product, whereas our team was busy selling the lower dosage. So then how do you use that customer insight from our top KOLs, which in this case are the doctors, to really shift the market and the mix from the lower dosage to the higher dosage? So I think I do a lot in brand building, but the four fundamental things is less is more, which I did in terms of new launches, collaboration,
That's
our licensing with international
brands,
companies, competition, attack where they're weak, the nursing homes example. And fourth, like I said, is market research, customer insights, which helped us shift focus again in an anemia brand from a lower dosage to higher dosage. And it helped the customers double the brand size.
Yeah.
Right?
So, okay, so pick like top 3 countries which you feel are going to be super relevant for anyone who wants to enter pharma for next 10 years.
It's very sad to say this, but pharma is going to be big everywhere because people have such horrible lifestyles. Horrible lifestyles.
Wow. I feel attacked.
That the world is going to get sicker.
I
and
feel
I keep
attacked.
telling people, they call me annoying ma,
Okay.
pharma, for a reason on Shark Tank, because I'm constantly lecturing my co-sharks. After the shoot is over, after 15-hour shoot, I want to go sleep because I know my body needs that rest. And because I know that before the next day's shoot, I want to work out on Zoom so that I have the energy. And, sitting for that long, you need it. And my co-shark is going to Bastion. And I'm unwanted lecture I'm giving him that, no, you will not go to party. You will go to sleep right now.
Yeah.
But they don't listen, obviously. So I'm telling you, the world is going to get more unhealthy. And honestly, Raj, it's wherever the population is high, obviously the potential is high.
Okay, here's a question which I really like to ask like a lot of leaders, and I want to pick your brains on this. Okay, because you picked up a running business and scaled it beyond the limits. Okay, and you have worked with a lot of new age businesses who are just getting started as well. And you said like you worked on multiple other new developments, new areas, new countries, a lot of stuff. So tell me, like when people are starting, when it's still like a small business under like 10-20 crores, okay, what are the departments people should have in their business?
That's a great question. And I think very often people who are just starting out feel they must do everything.
Exactly.
And have a very tough time delegating. And if you don't build the right teams and the right systems and processes, then when you scale, all hell breaks loose. And I have seen that in so many startups, right? So first and foremost is, of course, finance.
Yeah.
Whether it's hiring a chartered accountant who guides you or having an in-house team, get your numbers, your financials right. So many of the startups I work with, they don't get their books audited. They don't know anything. They don't close their accounts. And then the higher chances of things catching you by surprise. And as a founder, you should always be on top of your numbers. So finance is very important. Second is IT. I think in this entire world, technology has a huge role to play. So you have to have the right technology team. Whether you're traditional pharma or you're a new age D2C, you need to have a strong technical team that helps you scale. HR is very important. I personally spend a lot of time on HR, on setting the right culture, on team building.
Do you feel that's important from day one?
Extremely important. Extremely important, because if you don't set the right culture, if as a leader you don't walk the talk, if you don't have the right people, hiring the right teams and focusing on these things, it's not going to work. Culture is what defines mediocrity from outstanding, right? And then technology could mean different things. Like in pharma, technology means having the best R&D and the best manufacturing people working for you, right? So I think obviously all functions you have to develop as you scale, but you must focus on your finance, your technology, your HR, corporate governance. You can't have... We've seen a lot of cases in recent startups where there have been corporate governance issues and they're going to rise by the day, right? So how do you have that maker-doer, maker-checker balance in your system that catches these things before they snowball into something bigger, right? And take even big investors by surprise. Building right teams, putting the right systems in place is absolutely essential from day one. And that's what I tell all the founders that I work with.
So here's another one, okay? Now, think of it like let's say I'm a founder. I've built these 4 systems or 4 departments. What is the one essential question which I should ask them at the end of month?
As an investor?
As a founder, what should I ask my finance team? What should I ask my HR team? What should I ask my IT team? And what should I ask my operations and manufacturing team? इन सबसे एक important question which you feel कि बस ये एक insight हो तो it's more than enough. At least like just one which is the most important question which you should ask these people.
Absolutely. So I think with regards to my, finance team, I'm very EBITDA focused.
Okay.
That's another problem with startups.
Yeah.
Profit ka dekha jayega,
Growth
I think
rate
path
batao.
to profitability, cash flow is very important. Initial years, you may take a bit hit, but you have to have a clear milestone and path to profitability. So I'm very EBITDA focused.
That's Namita CA talking or Namita entrepreneur talking?
Both. I think that's just period, Namita period.
Talking. That's
Talking.
it.
I mean, I'm a very strong believer. You may have cash burn in the initial years, but it's got to convert to cash flow quickly. Fundamentals are important. Don't just run after being a unicorn in valuation and then you're perpetually in losses and your cash flow is all messed up. Focus on the fundamentals. So I think the first question I'd ask my finance team is EBITDA, right? The first question I'd ask my R&D team is new launches. What's new in the market? The first question I'd ask my marketing team is, what new customer insight do you have? Because they're constantly traveling and meeting doctors.
What new
So
customer
tell me the new
insight?
customer insight that I haven't heard before. Some new thing that a doctor has told you about where the market is going, some new therapeutic area, some new, disease profile, something that we could do better in our product. Packaging, dosage. Tell me one new customer insight.
It's funny because most of the people, like I've met like a lot of marketing people, they always ask about, hey, new campaign kaun sa hai? They don't ask about new customer insight. That's a great
for me,
question.
it's my number one thing. I mean, you're asking one question.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's a great question.
I ask a lot of questions. But if it was one, finance team, EBITDA, marketing team, what's your
Customer
new
insight.
customer insight? Then for my HR team, it would be attrition. I think if your attrition is high, you're doing something wrong, right? So you got to keep a check on attrition. Because if everything is going well, your people won't leave you.
Okay,
Right?
what do you think, why do people leave? One of the biggest fear which people have is कि अगर मैं सब बता दूंगा सब कुछ लोग छोड़ के चले जाएंगे और खुद का start कर देंगे. So how do you make sure that people don't leave you? Is there any...
See, people have to, 80% of your life is at work. So people have to be happy. And how are you happy, right? If there's no politics. And it's a very simple and nice culture with depth. That's the number one thing. Second, if the employee feels that there's growth opportunity in this company, growth in terms of career and growth in terms of financial gains. So if you take care of these two things, where you don't have a toxic culture and in fact have a very positive, enabling culture, and two, if you make sure that every employee is engaged through very regular, structured conversations that, hey, this is what we are doing for your growth. This is the training. This is the career opportunities. This is the increment. This is the promotion. This is how we're thinking through your growth. If an employee has a happy work environment and growth, clarity, why will anyone leave you?
That's a philosophy that, hey, if you are not being very, very strict about your goals, about your, numbers, about everything, if you're not like bang on, you've not built like a culture jo ekdam, it's like competitive almost every time, you spread you spread like complacency in the entire
People always confuse
organization.
aggression/ego with drive.
Okay.
You can be the most driven person, most ambitious person, achieving the most brilliant outcomes, and still not be an arrogant, egoistical person. You don't need to have a toxic culture to get outcomes, right? And I think it's all this Bollywood, Hollywood, these stories we read, that the quintessential culture in tycoon has to be ruthless,
Yeah.
crazy competitive and cutthroat, and backstabbing if you want to become a top company and if you want to achieve results. And I have enough examples and enough case studies, India and globally, of people who are very driven and have got enormous success without being arrogant and egoistical.
Interesting. Which is your favorite, let's say, company around the world which you feel like you learn a lot from? I'm sure there must be many, but like choose any one of them you feel ki, okay, this is something which you really admire in them or in that person? It can be India. It can
There are
be
a lot of people. So, for example, I work closely with Sanjeev Bikhchandani.
Okay,
I think he's fantastic. The way he thinks about businesses. I'm going to assent because I love Mr. Mariwala and the way he thinks about brand building. I have Rajiv Bajaj who leads Bajaj Auto from Pune. I learn a lot from him on brand building.
Okay.
I have Kiran Shaw.
Oh
She's
my
a
God.
sweetheart, and the feisty lady. I learn a lot about the way she thinks about different.
No, pick up one
concepts.
thing from all four of them. I want to know. Like, what did you learn from Sanjeev Bikhchandani?
I love the way he thinks about governance.
Okay.
It's
Go
just
deeper.
brilliant the way he thinks about governance, and when he invests in companies, the way he keeps a long-term outlook about those investors. And he always says, my glory comes from the success of my investors. I'm not here to flip my investment in 6 months and make a quick buck. I will stay with my investors for a long time. Even I know a lot of his companies have downs as well, but doesn't matter. This too shall pass, and I'm with them for the long haul. So I love the way he thinks about governance and being long term when he thinks of himself as an investor. Mr. Mariwala, I love his humility.
Yeah.
I have never met a more warm and humble person with so much compassion. And he does not just Marico, but he has Ascent for entrepreneurs. He has, the health initiative, Marico Health Initiative for mental health. I work with him on Marico Innovation Foundation, where he does a lot around innovation. He does so many things. And I think that's a brilliant case study of someone who has humility and a giving mindset, right? To do what's right.
Yeah, I love...
And compassion. Rajiv, I love the way he just follows his heart. I think he's an example of boldness and courage. He speaks his mind and he does what he believes in. And I've learned a lot about marketing from him.
Okay.
A lot of my brand building philosophies are shaped by Bajaj Auto and their launches and theories. Kiran is just, she's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
I mean, the way she's all heart, the warmest person. But again, like Rajiv, she'll speak her mind. I love people who have the courage of conviction to not worry about external validation and to do what they feel is right. And not always they're right. They can make their mistakes, but that's okay. Make your mistakes, learn and move on.
True.
I admire courage. And I think they have that courage, and I hope to become like them someday.
Wow, I'm sure you're on your way. And
I hope
maybe
so. It's not easy always.
So I loved one insight by Harsh Mariwala. I want to reiterate here. I was asking him like, how do you enter like a really competitive market?
Yeah.
Like, because let's say oil is like commoditized market. Kaise enter karo? Kya karo? There are companies. How do you... So what he said? He's like, look at which people are using every day. If you can't attack them there, attack on the pre or the post.
Okay. So you do a life cycle management.
Yeah. So you like...
Yeah.
So his point was कि shampoo हमको launch करना था. Shampoo अगर Unilever से let's say पूरा dominated है market. तो shampoo से लोग पहले क्या करते हैं? Chumpy. तो हम oil market पे जाते हैं.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that's so crazy.
Right. Or then the serum he's launched.
Yeah.
Which is post shampoo. And I'm using his serum. Parachute serum is brilliant. So the serum is something you use post blow drying your hair just to keep your hair fizz free. So that's a post. He's something else.
I love that insight. And because
you should read his book.
Yeah, I
Harsh
have
Realities.
Harsh Realities.
Harsh Realities. Yeah, it's a lovely book. So I read at least 4 to 5 books a month.
Okay, which one is
your favorite? I love reading. Oof, too many. Read my book.
Yours definitely.
No, read my book as in it has a list of my favorite books.
Okay. Tell me one of your favorite chapters from your own book.
Oh boy. I love the chapter on brand building because I think it's so objective, so specific, so evidence-based. And it really was a joy for me to learn brand building.
Okay, give me something from your book which we can start implementing right now.
Lifelong learner, vulnerable leader. I think we always, again, like I said, we always feel like we should be this aggressive, arrogant person. And sometimes you have to show your vulnerabilities to help people. I've spoken about a lot of hard phases in my life, much against even my family's wishes. Because they always told me, why do you need to go out in public and talk about this?
Yeah.
Keep your private life private. And I said, today, because of Shark Tank, I have a voice. because of Shark Tank, people are willing to listen to me.
Yeah.
And if I can't use this voice responsibility to break some taboos and to talk about my own personal setbacks and failures and difficult times, how is that voice even useful, right? It'll, when you go through certain tough times, you feel very lonely.
Yeah.
I felt very lonely. And if someone like a Namita Thapar comes and says, hey, you know what, I went through it too, then you don't feel that lonely anymore. And even if it lifts someone's spirit for a day, it makes them feel more positive. It inspires them and it like dust themselves off and say, let me try this one more time. Then that story or that tough story was worth talking about. And what's the point of privacy if you can't inspire people?
I studied like 100 leaders in the world, specifically entrepreneurs and business leaders. One common factor, like one common trait of all of them was they all were irrationally optimistic.
Yeah, I think
Not
I'm
rational optimism, irrationally optimistic.
Yeah, but that's not always easy on your loved ones. Because when they're struggling, they're like, no, but it's going to be fine. They look at you like you're psycho, But I don't know any other way to behave. So I just behave the way, and they put up with me. Yeah.
So tell me, talking about a family, let's go there, okay? And because you've dealt in a family business and it's very tricky.
Yeah.
In a family business environment, and India is filled with family businesses. In fact, there's a new rage there where a lot of young people don't want to continue working with their families. I don't know what's the reason. I've not gotten deep enough. Tell me, and I used to be in my family business, we used to work together. What do you think, like what goes wrong in a family business? What are the mistakes people make in family business? That's why people are separating.
I've lived through that, a lot of that in my journey with my family business. It's been 15 years. So for 6 years, I worked in a different company. And then after that 15 years, I've been working in my own company. So I've got a good perspective because I've done both.
Okay.
Right? I've worked for 6 years in a company that did not belong to my family.
Okay.
Which I always say is very important. Even if you're coming back to a family business, it's very important for second and third generation to work in companies that are not their family businesses before they join their family business. Because I worked in 2 companies, GlaxoSmithKline and Guided, and it just changed my work ethic. And I think I added a lot of value to Emcure because I worked for 6 years in 2 companies that did not belong to me. Having said that, in family businesses, I think the top 2 mistakes that people make is, one is there's no clear job definition. And that's where there's stepping on each other's toes and a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of just stuff that can be avoided. So just define each individual's role and always have a facilitator whenever there are these gray areas and do that upfront. And the second biggest mistake is, the founder becomes over-attached to the baby and doesn't know when to let go. So succession planning is very important. For the founder to realize that, okay, if I've given this area to the second generation, it's their baby. And even if they make mistakes and fail, that's okay. That's their failure and mistake to make. They learn and become that much smarter for it.
Yeah.
To learn to let go is very important. So, you don't need to retire at a certain age. You just need to retire your ego, right? So they say, like, do you retire at 50 or 60 or 70? And I told my dad, you can keep working till you're 90 as long as you retire your ego and let me do what I want, That would really solve a lot of the heartburn that exists in current family businesses. Because, think about it, family business makes up 80% of India's GDP. And India, if I'm not mistaken, is the 3rd largest country in terms of count of family businesses. So a lot of times people would be like, why is she on Shark Tank? She's not a founder. And I'm like, you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
Because even for a family business to be able to scale it, you need an entrepreneurial mindset. So anyway.
No, fair. Like coming back to the question, a lot of my friends, I'd speak to them, they say, yaar, papa mujhe control nahi dete. So I don't know ki karna kya hai, kaise karna hai. They don't let it go. I don't have the authority or the right to now do things.
Control lena padta hai.
That is one. And
koi
parents,
deta nahi hai.
And when you talk to their parents, papa, mom or dad, they say, yaar abhi ready nahi hai, isko pata hi nahi karna kya hota hai. Right?
No, so first you have to make yourself ready, no?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you.
No, so first you have to make yourself ready. So when I joined Emcure, I had 2 degrees, CA and MBA, and I'd worked for 6 years abroad. So you have to come with a certain pedigree, right? And then you have to put in certain years. I'd put in 10 years as CFO before I asked for the India business, right? So you have to build that credibility. and show the outcomes.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to put in the work of the degree, the external work experience, and the good 7-8 years in that company, and from day one you want the corner office and a fancy title, then you got to go look in the mirror and really rethink.
So once you
your
have
life.
the pedigree, then how do you said control lena padta hai. So what was
So
that?
what I did is first I got my degrees and my external work experience. I put in 10 years as CFO. Then I said I want to head India business. He said no. You're not going to head the India business because you don't have sales and marketing expertise, and you've never done it in your life. And I'm not comfortable giving it to you. And so first I tried to show him a lot of evidence of why I would be very good at it, because I did different things like Salesforce automation, different things to show him how I would add value to the business. When he still wasn't convinced, I took the help of a couple of his confidants who were board members to convince him.
Okay, now getting to the Shark Tank story, okay? I have a quick one. I have asked this to every shark, okay? Tell me one thing about every shark.
Oh God,
Okay.
this is the
And your
most
relation-
common question.
No, and your relationship with them. I just want to know what is one thing you would take from them? Ki Piyush mein aisa kya that you really
So
admire?
first I'll start with Aman.
Okay, Aman and you're
Aman
like
is my
everybody knows.
favorite shark. I go around telling everybody he's my favorite shark.
Bollywood connection.
Oh yeah,
You keep
CA,
dancing
CA
everywhere.
connection,
CA
Bollywood connection. We have a lot of connections, but
Yeah.
main is our dil ka rishta, We connected from day one. And what I admire about Aman is that he's a genius, and not just a marketing genius. He has a wearables company, he's a technology genius. He's an entrepreneurial genius. What he's done at Boat, and when you really sit down and talk to him, he's brilliant at his work. But the way he downplays it with his humor and always just sabko chidana, right? And everybody on the sets loves him.
Yeah.
Because wherever he goes, he spreads humor, he spreads joy, and he just makes people laugh.
Yeah.
And people just see him dancing, laughing, joking. To be able to balance the two, to be a genius at your work, but not be arrogant,
At
but
all.
take life lightly. I've learned that from Aman. I've become a more, like Aman got the crazy side out in me. I used to be very uppity and, very intense and overly intense and Excel spreadsheet. And I think Aman brought out the crazy in me, both on and off screen. And I thank him for that, because he really taught me that you can balance both. You can be a genius and intense at work, and you can just do masti and just be crazy and spread joy and love wherever you go. Vinita, I love her resilience. I mean, that girl, the amount of failure she's been through, and just a never say die attitude. She's risen from every failure and become stronger and stronger and created more and more from every failure. I mean, she's like a phoenix, Just love that girl for that. Always smiling. Piyush, I love his customer, focus on the customer. He talks a lot about culture.
Yeah.
And he speaks a lot about HR. I know he's genuinely passionate about that. And that's fantastic. Anupam has very good insights on, just because he's been an investor for a decade, very good insights on different industries and different businesses. We just see so much of that.
Yeah.
Those insights are very interesting, and we learn from that. Amit is a small town boy. He's from Jaipur. So I can relate to that because I'm from Pune.
Okay.
So, there's a little small town vibe about us.
Yeah.
Small things we connect. And I think people from bigger cities probably sometimes find that funny about us. But I think there's a small town vibe that the two of us have, certain small town mindset and values, which we connected over. So,
Ghazal and Ashneer, they were the last ones. There.
So Ashneer was, good at dissecting businesses. He's IIT. He's a smart guy. Ghazal also very good at what she does. And, she's still someone I stay in touch with. A nice person.
That's what you love, that niceness about her.
Yeah, she has a lot of warmth.
Interesting. That's a lot of points. And is there any favorite Shark Tank business which you have invested in, you feel?
In season 1 or 2?
Both. Like if you can reveal about 2, I don't know.
So 2 I can't reveal.
Exactly.
But 1 is definitely something that took me by surprise. So, I didn't think that would be my biggest success story.
Okay.
But Rare Planet, the one that works with handicrafts. So because I lived abroad for so many years, I'm very very, very passionate about Indian culture, traditions,
Yeah.
which are dying. And the second gen doesn't want to join, like the next gen doesn't want to join and become karigars. And here was a guy who had gone through so many personal struggles, lost all his money, his home, was painting kullards and selling at schools. And now look at him. He's running these stores at airports, and you'll see his success story being covered. And I think of all the investments in season 1, if you see purely by number of stores, he went from 4 stores to 32 stores.
Damn.
And sales, I think he's by far the number 1 success story of season 1, not just for me, but for Shark Tank, because purely on numbers if you
yeah.
go. And a lot of times when these karigar, eco-friendly things come to Shark Tank, everybody says, "Arey, ye to CSR hai.
Yeah.
Arey, ye to philanthropy hai. Ye paisa nahi banayega. Ye goodness hai,"
Yeah.
And Rano of Rare Planet and Vijay Kumar, who's his co-founder, have shown that you can balance goodness and profits. You can make some crazy sales and profits and do good with the karigars,
Interesting.
eco-friendly, social impact at the same time. And that's a fab story that all of India should hear about.
Very interesting. We're going to look back in the business and we're going to dissect that after this episode right here. By the way, thank you so much. I just have like last 2 rapid fire quick questions.
Sure.
Okay. One is, give me your one hardcore leadership mantra or a rule which you live by, which you feel like everybody should live by.
Hire people smarter than you. I think a lot of leaders are insecure and always want a lot of yes men and yes women around them. And I think my biggest growth has been from a culture of dissent, where people speak up, disagree with me, voice their views. And for that, you have to hire people way smarter than you. Then you build a culture of dissent, and then you get that creativity and innovation that helps you stay sharp.
Interesting. And the last question is, which we ask everyone again, is what do you feel is the next big industry where people can build large businesses?
Healthcare. I mean, I cannot tell you
The
how
opportunity.
much technology is needed in healthcare. If you see pharma, it's still so traditional. If you see devices. And healthcare is the biggest problem that's going to face a lot of people globally. We saw what the pandemic did to us.
Can you be a little specific about it? Like one specific area? in
I
healthcare?
think the biggest problem is awareness and diagnosis. The diagnosis is expensive, the treatment is expensive, the awareness is lacking. So if we can use technology to solve the problems of awareness, diagnosis, and treatment, that is going to be the biggest industry in years to come. And I can just give you lots of examples, but that would take another 2 hours. So we'll leave it for another day because, healthcare is something I'm very, very passionate about.
Of course. And you said it right. Like, sometimes when you look at any businesses for that matter, you can build a fairly large business and do a lot of goodness in the world just by diagnosing, not treating as well.
Yeah.
Because you make, people who are treating their life easier just by making sure that you're spreading awareness that people are just getting diagnosed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. We really believe in the growth story of India. हमें लगता है कि इंडिया का ना अब टाइम आ चुका है. हम सबसे बड़ी कंट्री बनने वाले हैं, सबसे फ्रूटफुल कंट्री बनने वाले हैं और हम लोगों में बहुत पोटेंशियल है. लेकिन वो पोटेंशियल कैसे स्पार्क होता है कॉन्वर्जेशंस और आइडियाज से. तो एक आइडिया, एक कॉन्वर्जेशन, एक इंसान की कोई एक बात पूरी लाइफ चेंज कर सकती है हमारी, तुम्हारी, पूरे नेशन की. बिकॉज इट कैन लीड टू अ न्यू venture which can change the course of this world as well. So we really believe in spreading the conversations which are really right and sparking ideas. So I urge this to you as well. Please share this with at least one person and make sure that you're telling them about how to gain knowledge out of this, because valuable conversation is going to take us forward and it's going to fast forward our country's growth. So until the next episode, keep figuring out and like, subscribe, comment, share with everyone and tell the world, because तुम जितना ज़्यादा ये करोगे उतने ज़्यादा अच्छे लोगों तक हम पहुंच पाएंगे, और जितने ज़्यादा अच्छे लोगों तक हम पहुंच पाए उतनी ज़्यादा अच्छी conversations होगी और उतने ज़्यादा अच्छे episodes होंगे. Let me know in the comments who do you want to see next, and please keep sharing, subscribing and liking to this episode, to this channel, to this. समझ गए ना? कर लो.